Hi everybody, welcome to this installation of our Hive 5 videos. You might recognise the guy beside me here, so it's Zak, an old
Hello.
friend and old client. All right, Zak?
Hello, Dan. How you doing, mate?
Very good, very good. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
Has.
So we haven't actually done this before, but we thought we'd give it a go. Basically, Zak and his business partner Gareth have just relocated to an amazing site in Bournemouth. I was checking in to see how it had gone and how it was going in general. And there's one specific limiting factor to that business in Bournemouth. It's quite hard to find associate dentists. Reasons being no dental school, that type of thing, bit out the way, bit like Cornwall where we're based. Maybe not as bad as Cornwall for finding associates, but yeah. So what we thought was Hive have got an engaged and big audience. So we thought, Zak, would you like to almost pitch to the audience? And the other side was, it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I remember vividly in my old man's office with Zak going through his strategic options, which were pretty straightforward. It was buy a practice or become a super high grossing associate, which he kind of already was, but he couldn't find the right place. And he said to me, well, where are all these practices that are forward thinking, get loads of new patients, have a cool brand, are well positioned, all the exciting stuff that you want as a young, hungry associate? And I said, there's loads of them. And now he is one of these guys looking for these associates. So,
It's funny how things come full circle, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Give the
Well, I wish that
story
I'd
then.
chosen the other option now, Dan. I should have chosen the other option, really, shouldn't I?
Well, this is the thing. Being an associate, I think, is one of the best jobs on earth. So you will find that a lot of the children of people who work at Hive say they're going to be dentists when they grow up, and I'd say it's not. It is definitely causation over correlation. It is a great job. Being a business owner is nothing to do with dentistry. Almost, it's really
No.
hard, but you have to do dentistry as well. So
And somehow, I mean, I'm literally looking at my schedule right now, thinking how we're going to fit all these different things in. And you have to get your head into different headspaces throughout your day. Do you find that really hard? Like actually sitting down and being the dentist every day? Not you, clearly, but
yeah,
I don't know if I trust my teeth to you, Dan.
no.
Nice, in the nicest possible way. And but yeah, being the leader at the same time and the recruiter and this and that and whatever it's insane. It's insane. So yeah, we kind of met. Well, it feels like yesterday, but it was probably 5 years ago or thereabouts ago, wasn't it? And at the time we were bootlegging, and actually you told me about that term of the setting up the bootleg business, which was basically that I was exactly what you said. Part of it is that I have always been down on the South Coast. The practice where I considered to be my like dental home when I was an associate was bought by a mini corporate at the time. Things evolved and kind of headed in a direction I wasn't so happy with. Wanted to find the kind of practice which really cared about people, really cared about doing things right, following things and doing things comprehensively, not just slapping a bit of dentistry on and then saying goodbye. And what was really key to me was finding the kind of team and machine where the right people were coming in the door. Because to me, the treatment room is like a sacred kind of protected place where I don't want to just be seeing Tom, Dick, and Harry and having to kind of find out their goals too late and then going, well, that's just what burned an hour of my chair time for nothing, and it's going to turn into nothing. So yeah, we kind of and couldn't find it, and before you know it, ended up associating with people that I became close to, like Gareth, for example. We actually ended up, we had started as competitors. We kind of knew of each other in the Bournemouth area on Instagram and kind of saw each other's work. And we clearly were kind of competing for the same sort of type of dentistry that we do, goal-focused dentistry, predominantly cosmetically focused dentistry to begin with. And yeah, Gareth and I got to know each other. And before you knew it, we were collaborating rather than competing. And yeah, one thing led to another. And now here we are.
Yeah, and I'd say it's unusual for a partnership to be a success. Quite often, there's often a commercial reason for it. You know, there's benefits of commercial benefits of a cost sharing partnership. But the minute that one person tries to do something or is more engaged in the business development or something like that, someone always feels like they're contributing more.
Yeah.
But with you and Gareth, it's clearly one of the key assets of the business that your partnership works so well, and you cover and move really well. So that's a massive success. Because when you first told me about it, I was like,
you're skeptical.
Yeah, well, that is my nature. But met Gareth, you were both very, very interested in the marketing side of things and knew about it as well. So you weren't just kind of curious; you'd actually studied it loads. So I was pretty confident actually quickly with how it went. And it was a kind of roaring success from the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we became Smile Stories a couple of years ago, 2021, just had our second birthday, March. And we got to know one another and essentially evolved what was a very old school traditional dental clinic with a small NHS kids contract, realized that COVID was the perfect catalyst and the perfect opportunity to evolve into what we really wanted to do every day. And we literally closed the doors. And, at the time we had the perfect reason to, being the pandemic. And we went, do you know what? We are only going to allow people in who do things the way we want to do them. And, with the psyche of the general public at the time, everyone was pretty open to virtual consultations and things, which was perfect for not just burning chair time for the sake of it. And you're right. I'm delighted in hindsight to have met Gareth. It's really fortunate that we've become really close pals, quite complementary in our skill set. And even if we do say so ourselves, we've created something pretty unique, not even in this new location, which we've just moved into through the growth that we've had over the last 2 years. So with yours and Ross's and your team's inspiration and probably you were the biggest influence to kick us in the right direction. We started the hunt for this new location about this time last year. And this last year has been all about reinvesting basically and reinvesting a lot of our time and creating a location that was kind of fitting for the brand. And I sat down and then realized in the background of me there's loads of screens and stuff, and I thought to myself, shall I cover those because that might look a bit contrived? But actually I sat down in a treatment room and this is what it's like, because I was like, no, it's a fair reflection of what our treatment rooms are like. And it's set up because I'm about to see a client at 3:00 in a half an hour or so. So that's what we do.
Yeah, it really is great. I haven't actually been to see the new site, but I'm very much looking.
You did. You came in here when it was Santander Bank with us this time last year.
Yes, I did. I saw it then. It was awesome. And then actually, the negotiations for you to get it was some of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Protracted.
To say the least. The least. So you said that you do things a very specific way at Smile Stories. Could you talk through that? Because obviously I know nothing about clinical stuff, but how you kind of your positioning merges with the clinical to just deliver that great experience.
The experience is the word. Might sound quite contrived, but when Gareth and I dreamt up Smile Stories as a brand and as a thing, it wasn't ever a dental clinic. It was, what do we actually want to do every day? Why do people do the things that they do every day? And let's see if there's some way that we can gel in the middle. Basically, how do we make it so that it's a win-win for everybody? Not only our team, us as business owners, as practice owners, but ultimately our clients. And we are quite specific about calling them clients, not patients, because people don't come to us because they're sick. I think that goes for all of dentistry across the board, but specifically in the stuff that we began doing at Smile Stories when we became Smile Stories, which is ultimately people come to us with a specific need. And we are, in a clinical sense, super comprehensive. So if somebody comes to see us and they want a veneer on one tooth because that tooth bugs me, it's not the same shape or size as the next door neighbor tooth. Instead of going, yep, veneers are this much, come in next week, off you go. What we do is actually, prior to them ever setting foot in a treatment room, our care coordinators are really, really on it with digital communication, getting to know them so that we're protecting the treatment rooms from people that are a pain in the neck. To be really honest, we're quite picky about who we look after. We have to be. We've grown to the point now, actually I didn't share the sums with you recently, Dan, but we're up to 380 inquiries, which last month's organic inquiries that we received. We don't know what to do with these people, and we've got to the point where we have to now be so specific on, thanks mate, we're specific not only on who we are attracting, but now we've got some systems and some clever digital ways of asking them to take pictures, for example, and we kind of build them up the ladder of how they get to know us as people and us as a brand and clinic. And and we're kind of sharing information with them that's valuable to them at that stage of the journey. So it does become an experience. When people come to see us and they go, oh, I feel like I know you already. And one of the reasons why is because we might have sent them a voice note, which was a minute of my time a month ago, which then led on to what we call a confident smile report, which is actually put together by our team of care coordinators using a system that we have, and it's presented to them remotely. And we go, based on your photos, here's what the possibilities could be. And then beyond that, the care coordinators spend some time on a virtual consultation. So they might spend 40 minutes walking through the story of other clients, how this went, what the workflow looks like, what the next appointment would be, what the likely fees are going to be, and so on and so on. And then there might be some videos of like previous clients' care and outcomes that's me talking about them that are sent over to that client, not in a contrived way, but in a kind of drip fed sort of way. They walk in the door and they go, I'm ready to go. I can't wait for this. This is going to be one of the best things I've ever spent time and money on. And we go, yeah, we hope we haven't over promised and we want to, under promise and over deliver. But at the same time, people do genuinely achieve those things because we've set the bar at a certain level where we aren't trying to do Simon Cowell dentistry. The way we do it is we kind of say, hey, Dan, how would you like to be Dan 2.0? Sounds like from your description, your teeth and your smile are bugging you, but you don't want to look fake. Would that be fair to say? And Dan goes, yeah, cool. And I go, cool, here's how to do it.
Amazing. So as an associate coming in, you can kind of plug into that system.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easy for them to fit into that. So they're kind of getting these highly qualified, highly kind of screened patients in the seat that are ready to rock straight away.
They're ready to rock to the point at which, like it might have been historically me as an associate, it would have been like blood from a stone, or maybe that's the wrong expression, but it would have been difficult to get somebody to commit to £300 worth of digital planning on day one. You'd have had to bring them in, warm them up, build the rapport, do an hour of information gathering and checklists and photos and all the rest of it. And then you'd have to come back and have them sit down in the chair again and waste more time to then go, okay, the next step is to do some more planning. And they're like, number one, they're thinking, can I get on with it, please?
Yeah.
And number two, like, why has it taken that many steps to be able to get a bit more financial commitment from them? So people walk in the door, they're ready to go, they know the process. And, it's not for this reason that I'm sort of saying it this way, but people rarely have a treatment plan that's less than 4 or 5 figures. In fact, that's standard practice. And to the point at which we know that because we're looking at the whole picture, I said about the one veneer, well, why did that tooth become a short tooth? Why is it worn down? Is it to do with misalignment of lower teeth? Is it to do with missing back teeth? Before you know it, if you ask these questions to people and then they kind of go, oh, I can see what you mean now because of the photos or quality photographs of their teeth and their 3D scans and stuff. Do that for every patient, every client, every time. When we explain it like that, what you mean? Yep. Oh, I see what you mean. I need some implants or something for those missing teeth at the back, don't I? Yep. But we don't overawe them with it either. And we don't go, hey, give us 20 grand tomorrow. What we do is what we do here at Smile Stories, we play the long game. Why don't we phase this in a way that makes sense to you? The first phase, let's get you healthy. And that, to be honest with you, is where the brunt of the work for general dentists comes in. And that's kind of our bread and butter to begin with. But once you build a relationship, then you can do the more fancy dentistry. And sometimes, to be honest, we're not going on too much. Some people just put the money on the table on day one and go, I want the whole package. Can I get on with it, please?
Yeah, awesome. So I know you've done it before, and you're kind of open to anyone, but someone coming into you doesn't necessarily have to be doing all this work straight away. You and Gareth do a lot of mentoring and development and that type of stuff as well.
Yeah, so
right, assuming that still.
Yeah, definitely. So I said Dan 2.0 in terms of Dan Smile. You don't need to be 2.0, mate. You're already 2.0.
Thanks,
but Harry is one of our associates, and we're looking for a Harry 2.0 basically. Yes. Harry joined us just after his DF year, his foundation training year, and I'd known him when I was doing some teaching of the dental students over in Portsmouth at the Dental Academy. He was an outreach student from King's at the time, so he's 24, just out of uni. And he joined us after COVID when we were evolving into Smile Stories at the time. And I can very happily put hand on heart and say that Harry does my dentistry in my own mouth because I trust him, and because he's been over our shoulder and was over our shoulder all day, every day for the first 6 months. Now, we aren't necessarily expecting that from a brand new general dentist because we know that they need to earn a crust. And Harry at the time was willing to commit his soul and his time to going, I'm all in.
Yeah.
But Harry's got to the point where, and you won't mind me saying this, he grosses 40 grand a month pretty much most months. And that's just in general dentistry. That's because the systems are there set up and ready where he can take home 300 plus pounds an hour for well teed up dentistry. That, for example, client he's seeing this afternoon, Jess, she's got 2 restorations to be done on the lower right. She's in for an hour and a half. He's going to put a rubber dam on. The team are trained to do things full-handed, which I'm a little nosy over here. So the setup is that our treatment rooms are kind of set up with instrument carts. So everything is kind of pre-prepped in advance. I'll show you actually just kind of, this is prepped by Amy before she left for lunch this morning. Perfect. So we kind of got stuff ready to go, and essentially he can sit down and he doesn't have to think in too much complexity. It's already been planned ahead. So yeah, he's kind of evolved as a clinician, and with his own skill set in that time, he'll put a rubber dam on, things are dry, clean, clients watching Netflix on the ceiling, and he can tuck in and do high grossing dentistry with, thankfully, very minimal stress and predictability. It's all very predictable and systematic.
Amazing. Well, that's absolutely awesome. So how would you describe the culture? I know it's quite difficult to do that, but there is a very definite culture and a very team focused mentality from that I've, observed with working with you. How would you describe it, I guess?
Different. Happily different, in the sense that our team are typically in their 20s and 30s, pretty much all of us. I'm the oldest team member. That's really sad, isn't it? I'm 38 this year and I'm the oldest team member.
Don't look it though.
Oh, thanks, mate. Cheers. Definitely look it in the beard with the grey.
Coming through, yeah.
And so to give you an example, we start every day as a team with a 10-minute meeting at 8 o'clock, because we don't believe in the type of clinic where I used to work as an associate. You'd walk in, you'd go into the treatment room, you put your bags down in the treatment room, your jacket on the back of the door, close the door, never see anybody but your dental nurse and your list of patients. And it just used to feel like a conveyor belt, and that is really far from what we do here. So much so that we're very collaborative. We even, for example, do our checkups. We don't call them checkups, we call them 3D health checks, because we're pretty on it with communication and language patterns specifically. So we do a 3D scan for every single client every time, but we do them linked with hygiene visits. So our hygienists, our therapists are trained to be able to do most of that, and a dentist will go in for about 10-15 minutes of a 45-minute hour visit, depending on the complexity of the client. So we're very kind of joined up thinking, and our team was also trained by our nurses to spend the rest of their day doing various different parts in the building. Like, for example, we have an in-house laboratory where we custom make stuff, we 3D print stuff. We do some digital planning, and they also write our smile stories. So we're called smile stories for a reason. Every client gets a smile story, and that is ultimately their treatment plan on steroids. So yeah, it's very like, dental nurses aren't just kind of here treated like sit down in the corner, suck the spit, shut up, don't talk. It's very much a team culture. And then as a result of that, we have nice parties. I'm not going to lie, we love a party. So in the summer, last year we hired a catamaran off Poole Harbour. We're doing it again this year. Probably going over to Isle of Wight for a nice dinner and many drinks and all that type of stuff that makes us all feel like we actually want to be here. We have a good boozer over the road, and we end up on a Friday night for a drink or two. Never gets that raucous, promise. And it's just very together.
Excellent. Yeah, that's really good. We're kind of similar at Hive in that we do have a bit of a different culture, and there's like a 2-tier interview process. So like the manager interviews them and sees if they're kind of appropriate for the job and if we like them, if the attitude's right. And then there's like a second interview, which I often go into, which is kind of the freak out session, where it's like, if you can't deal with all the other stuff that we're talking about and the fact that we are interested in constantly improving, because you will hear about it all the time, then you probably don't want to work here if you kind of just want to check in and check out.
And that's very much us, to the point at which it won't be the right job, the right role for everybody. But what we're really looking for is the kind of person with, as fluffy as this sounds, and it really isn't kind of my style, but it's very much about mindset. It's very much about like, why do you get up in the morning every single day and do what you do? If you're looking for, I just want to be the same every day, and I'm fine, I'm doing okay, and probably won't be the right, like, I'm sure we'll get on, but we probably wouldn't fly. Do you know what I mean? Harry, as a prime example, is the kind of guy who's like, I want to grow. What do I do next? And he's really astute with the numbers, and he kind of calculates stuff, and he knows that today's a valuable day for lots of reasons, but he isn't driven by the money aspect of it. He's driven by the fact that he's doing amazing dentistry, and the rest follows. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, then, you know, courses end up at your fingertips, and like ad hoc trainings, mentoring sessions end up at your fingertips, and randomly at lunchtime, sometimes we'll sit there and we'll just hammer out cases together, and hammer out some digital planning together, and we go, half an hour just passed by, but it was fun. Like, we're having fun every day, and that's why it just feels right.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like our Slack kind of never really closes down because we're excited about what we're doing, and like, what's going on with this guy. So yeah, actually, I'll go on a slight digression, but there is a point to it. So we a month or two ago, a company that's basically Hive in America called Duck at Lad reached out to us. Their CEO, Bill Ladd, emailed me and said, we're just looking at the global market to learn more. You guys are the only company we've seen that are kind of talking a bit differently. So I was obviously like, this is great. So me and Ross have been meeting with them a few times and just sharing ideas, because some of their processes in service delivery are like out of this world. They're amazing. Actually, they use traction as well, which I know you guys are into. Nice. So but yeah, so we're talking about different things and talking about their values, and they told me to read a book called The Perfect Team Player, which is awesome. But the guy in the book basically breaks it down. Obviously you need the technical skill to do the job, but you should never hire anyone on technical skill, which we've learned the hard way many times. But they say the characteristics are hungry, so you have to be kind of driven and passionate with that. You've got to be smart, so that's people smart. You've kind of got to be aware of the impact you're having. So hungry, smart, and humble being the most important. But if you're short in any of them, it actually kind of creates issues. So if you're hungry and smart, you'll actually be a politician. So you're not humble enough to progress. Honestly, it's really worth a read. I was just like, oh my God, I know that person. I know exactly it. So if you kind of use these metrics to appraise people, so I'm definitely going to bring that in and kind of, turn the language into our own language. But I think it's
very parallel. It's very parallel. Yeah, exactly. And then the humility aspect of it is very important to us, because there should never feel like a hierarchy, but ultimately there has to be leadership, and there has to be, one of my roles as a leader is always to challenge the status quo. I say that repeatedly in our team. If you're not coming to work thinking things are changing, we're the wrong organization. We're not doing things right as an organization. I'm not leading this place correctly, and our team aren't really kind of there's no get up and go. Like, you don't get Karens here who's come in and turn the lights on and sit there and groan and moan. We don't even phone the practice. We're kind of set up systems in such a way that it's a very, very different environment, and the people make it what it is. Humility is a very, very big thing for us. Knowing that we are doing things as right as we can do them, but you never have to say it. People need to feel it rather than be told it, don't they?
Thanks very much, Zach. That was awesome. And guys, get in contact. Thank you.
Please do. Cheers.
Cheers.